On this week's Growing Up Black Without Borders, we're thrilled to welcome a special guest who made the bold move from California to Thailand. In our Diaspora Dialogue, we explore what inspired their journey across the globe, the challenges and surprises of adapting to a new culture, how they built a sense of home and community far from where they started.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Lee Jackson, and I am the host of Growing Up Black Without Borders, your weekly podcast to everything migration and Black and Brown people moving outside the country of their original birth and finding a home elsewhere. And so I have the distinct honor and privilege to welcome our amazing guests to our weekly podcast. I have Freedom Coach Darreca. So before we begin, I want all of our guests to look at that beautiful view behind you. That is not a blue screen. That is, you see the cars down there moving? That is the wonderful view Darreca has as she is coming from her wonderful casa, her wonderful house in Beijing, correct?
Bangkok,
Thailand.
yeah.
So please welcome. Very, very, very grateful to have you on our podcast, Growing Up Black Without Borders. And let me, I'll give the mic to you to do the introduction. And this is Freedom Coach Darreca.
Thank you for having me. I am so happy to be here. Like you said, I live in Bangkok, Thailand. I'm an expat, a digital nomad, a lover of all things gallivanting. And I am just currently trying to sit in my soft girl era and really soak all of that up. And for me, part of that is living outside of the United States, running my businesses remotely. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, while I can, right? Because we never know what tomorrow.
Listen, you never know. I have a sign back here that says our stories connect across continents. And so I'm a firm advocate of that. It's wonderful to be able to host you. I know you got a lot to tell us. So, our podcast is always about the migration, the start, the challenges, the growths, the positive, the negatives. We like to talk about it all. I think that, we had a wonderful opportunity to speak, me and you together. And so I don't think enough platforms talk really about some of the challenges and some of just the thought processes. And so here we like to get that out to the people that are already expats, people that are thinking about moving, things of that nature. So we're super, super excited. Thailand has been a hot spot, especially for expats. The digital nomad life, the culture, the people, the scenery, obviously,
I
so
know.
yeah, so we'll get to there. But let's start off with kind of like the personal journey. So kind of
Okay.
like, can you tell us kind of like where in the States that you was, brought you into thinking about moving out the States and that whole journey?
So basically, I was living in California. As everyone knows, it's no secret, California is expensive, right? United States is expensive. And then
Yes.
there's California, right? It's like next level for no reason. So basically, what I feel like I had already planned like years and years ago to be a nomad, expat, something, right? So I had kind of been like taking all of the steps to get there, but this was like a 10-year plan, right? So I'm thinking by 40, I'm going to be out of the country, cool. And then God said, your plan is funny, but I have another one.
Wow.
And they basically kicked everybody out of my apartment complex. They closed the entire complex down. So we all had to find somewhere to live abruptly. And we all had lived there for several years. Like, I think I had been in that apartment for like 5, 6, 7 years, like some very long period of time. And so I had no intentions of going anywhere. I had $1,200 rent, which was completely unheard of in California.
I'm about to say, where you living at?
I had a local owner, like a small owner for my apartment complex, because it was a smaller complex, so it was a lot easier to do everything. And that left me money to then travel. So why would I leave? Why am I paying more money for an apartment that I plan on being in less time? So either way, God took me out of my apartment, and then I decided, well, I don't have an apartment. I don't need 2 cars. So I sold one of my cars, and the newer one, right? Because it also didn't think it made sense for me to have a brand new 2025 car staying at my friend's house. Like,
Yes.
no, if I don't have an apartment, let's get rid of the new car. So I sold the car, and then I had my older car. My old car broke down. So I sold that too. So I was like,
Mm.
well, Lord, I just don't have anything. I
Yeah, no
had
assets.
everything in January, and then it's August, and I'm like, well, forget it. So my apartment was supposed to be ready in September, but I was like, well, it's August or it's end of July. What am I going to do until the apartment's ready in September? I'll just go to
Mm.
Thailand for the month. It's not that expensive. I'll spend the month in Thailand. So that was my plan. And I got here and I just loved it. And I didn't want to leave.
So was that your first time in Thailand? Have you experienced like kind of travel? That was your first time in Thailand?
It's my first time in Asia. I had no plans to go to Asia at
Wow.
all anytime soon. I basically just went on Google Flights, Google Explorer. If y'all have never used Google
Yeah.
Explorer, use it. Okay.
Yeah.
I basically just went on Google Explorer. I had a budget in my head of what rent would cost and what I wanted to spend under that amount to make sure I had enough money to move in the following month. And Thailand just came up. And like you said, everybody had been talking about it. I'm seeing the islands and the boats and the water. And I want to go get it. It's in the budget. The hotels, I looked up the hotels. I think at the time they were like $18 to $24 a day, which made
Wow.
like the monthly stay like $800,
Yeah.
820s, 840, somewhere around there. I was like, that works. And I get to be in Thailand. So it was literally just like, all right, I'm leaving. I'm just going to leave for the month and I'll be back next month when my apartment's ready. Except I got here and decided I didn't want to go back. So I
Wow.
stayed
Wow.
another 30 days. And I
So
told them I didn't want the apartment.
yeah. So was you already kind of like working remotely from the US? Like did you have a corporate job? Like how was your like your income transition?
So I got laid off from my corporate job in the pandemic.
Okay.
I got put on FMLA because I have migraines
Okay.
at the beginning of that year from January to May. I was on
Okay.
FMLA. June is when they laid me and like 500 other people off in the company. But I had already had my business because I had already known that I wanted to live outside of the country. So I
Mm.
knew that I had to start setting up these additional streams of income outside of my job in order to make that feasible. Because at one point, I knew the job either had to be let go of or I had to find a job that was going to support this. And because I could
Mm.
not control what job I got, I could only control what other sources of income I brought in. I started creating other sources of income. So when I got laid off in the pandemic, I already had
He
one
was
of my
already ready.
businesses already running, already going. And that's why I
So
tell people, like, you don't have to do a lot. Like, I had an Instagram page, but I wasn't really marketing. I wasn't really
yes.
doing a lot. It's not about doing a lot. It's about being established. And then
Yes.
when you decide to do a lot, you've already been there, right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
already have all of the things that you need set up for your success.
So then it wasn't really like a spontaneous, it was kind of a spontaneous move from what you're telling me, but you was also already thinking about moving out the country and you were setting yourself up, financially, money-wise to be able to make that move whenever it came up. It just came up sooner than later.
Oh, yeah, a lot sooner into a completely different place. You could have asked me a year ago, $1 million. I bet you $1 million you won't go to Asia. You'll go to Asia. I would be owing you $1 million right now because I never even wanted to travel here, let alone stay here for
Oh,
60 days, let alone live here. Like never, never.
wonderful, wonderful. So let's get into, we're still on the personal journey. So did you go there with family, friends, yourself, like just a solo expat, or like what was the story?
Yeah, I run off to different countries by myself all the time. So my family is completely used to it. We actually made a bet after Cuba because I went to Cuba and didn't tell anybody, but that's normal. But I guess for
Me
them, me
too.
going to other places and not telling them, and then me deciding to go to Cuba was like maybe too much. So we made a bet that after that, I would just tell them before. So they knew maybe 3 days before I decided I was gonna go to Thailand that that's what I was gonna do. But my family lives in Virginia and I lived in California. So we weren't like close or seeing each other every
Yeah.
day anyway. So yeah, it was just like, yeah, I'm about to go. And then I bought the ticket. I actually buy the ticket normally, and then I tell people.
So let me ask you this then. Do you think your solo traveling has helped you enough to be able to relocate, obviously by yourself in another country? Does that kind of help pave the way, make it more comfortable? Because a lot of people, to be honest with you, especially in the States, single men, single women, even people with families, people are kind of hesitant about even just traveling solo.
Do get that. And I think that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. I think a lot of people, when they think about the preparation, they think about the physical things, right? So for me, I knew in high school that I wanted to travel the world. My mom did as much traveling with us in a car that a single mom with 2 kids could,
Mm,
right? But I knew that there was a world outside of places that I could drive to. And I knew the best way for me to get there was, one, to be able to afford it, but two, be okay with it, right? My family is super, 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 super close, right? So my first step in, I don't want to say detachment, but I want to say independence from
yes.
that strong attachment was
Yes.
college. So I went away like an hour and a half to college. And then from Virginia, I moved to California, right? So now we go from an
Mm.
hour and a half to across country, right? So I'm prepping them. I'm prepping them. And then I'm going to go across the world, right? So when I tell you I'm moving to Thailand, it's not like, oh my God, what's going on? It's like, oh my, people, they start throwing all of their fears
All that
at you.
negative
But
feelings and everything at you.
them, just like I've been prepping myself, this was
Yes.
mentally for me to tell myself and show myself you can do this, but this was also to prep and show them I can do this. Like, it's okay. Like,
Exactly.
I'm still gonna be here. Like, the same way you ever wanted me to come home in California, I just hop on a plane and I'm there. You call me right today. I come home tomorrow. I book a flight today. Y'all know I book flights day of. I don't care. I will book a flight
Exactly.
today, come home, right? So I think
Exactly.
once we all got in that and we all got comfortable, I think it made it so much easier. So you're right. I don't know how that would be for people who are also really close with their family or who spend a lot of time with their family and then you just decide to completely detach. I think I knew that about my family and
Yeah.
me. So I think I knew that's how I had to do it in order for this to be okay with me. And this was still really hard.
Yeah.
Anybody who tells you to moving across the country and you being by yourself is just so easy because you are by yourself somewhere else, they're a liar. They're a liar.
Exactly. So listen, I am the same way. And so as we spoke about, I live in Mexico. And so my similar migration was kind of similar. I've always traveled internationally every single year. People that know me know that. I've always traveled a couple times a year. My issue was always coming back to the States because it's such a climb to get back into the roller coaster of the States. I call it the hamster wheel of living in the United States whenever you lived out the country. And I'm like, there has to be a better way. So for me, I've always known that I was going to live internationally, have the opportunity to take my family internationally. So I've already
Mhm.
had that mindset. It was just similar with you, find the right opportunity and then just recognizing it and then just be like, hey, time to go.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was God. It really was. Because if you would have left it up to me, I would have stayed at that corporate job as long as they was paying
Hey,
me
amen.
to do it, and traveled and because it's the best of both worlds at that point, right? I get to
Yeah.
collect the paycheck and I get to travel. Like what more do you need? So I feel like God was like, that's not what you said though. And then he just pushed
What
me.
Coach Darreca coming from wonderful Thailand. So she was just talking about her migration from California to Thailand, the spontaneous move, but also thinking about it, throughout her whole life and just being able to make that move. And so let's talk about it. So you're in Thailand, you get up, you got your place. So did you start off in hotels? Did you find your own apartment? I know a lot of expats do Airbnbs first. Kind of like, what was your first
Mhm.
impressions as soon as you got off that plane and kind of like getting yourself settled?
So I'm so glad you asked this because I feel like we all do the like stereotypical thing. And
Yes.
maybe it's because it's easier, but like looking back on it, I don't think it was necessarily the best way to do it. But I did get an Airbnb for the first week. and I'm going to go on record to say this, if nobody has ever told y'all, they catfish Airbnbs in Thailand.
Yes.
So whatever it looks like, it might not look like that. I don't know. I don't know if they're old pictures. I don't know if they're AI pictures, but yeah, no furniture might look different. No, there might be dirt on walls or mold or.
I'm glad you're telling people the truth.
Okay. So that's basically what I came there to. And it wasn't bad. It was not bad. It just definitely was not the photos, right? But I think it was super essential to me wanting to move so quickly because I was in a neighborhood, like a neighborhood. And it's a little south, like now knowing Bangkok more, it's pretty south compared to where I would ever live in Bangkok City, just from like a transportation cost time perspective. But I love that neighborhood. That neighborhood gave me like real Bangkok. Like you said, you live in like the real part of Mexico, not the tourist part. It's very much similar to that.
Yeah.
And I love that because I feel like I got immersed quickly. Nobody spoke English. Not at the 7-Eleven, not at the other 7-Eleven, not at the coffee shop.
Oh, really?
Nobody spoke English in that neighborhood. Like, nobody for like a whole week. Because that's how long my reservation was. So unless I went in the city somewhere or I just happened upon something. And you know, sometimes like moving your hands and like gesturing is communicating. So they probably still didn't understand my English. They probably just understood everything else. But
you went into the neighborhood.
Yeah, I went like a good week without speaking English to people. And I was like, oh, I'm in Thailand. Like, it was like surreal because I had traveled to so many Spanish speaking countries. I think I didn't realize I used that as a crutch because it's not that big of a transition. Like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to ask for my fried fish. I'm going to ask for my corn. I'm going to ask for my potatoes. Like, all of these things I know how to say. So it made like traveling comfortable. And I think this was the first time in a long time I was uncomfortable traveling, but I liked it. Yes. And I was intrigued. And I was like, this is exciting. I want to learn. I want to be in the things. I want to do the things. I was very happy to move into a hotel, but it wasn't like a hotel. It was a serviced hotel. And I would tell everybody to do that from the beginning.
Okay.
Forgo the Airbnb unless you just have some like fancy Airbnb that's like super nice that you want to stay in for a couple days, you know, to get content or whatever. But I would say forgo that completely. Stay in a serviced hotel because they are more affordable, way more affordable than the Airbnbs. You get water. You don't have to worry about, like in the Airbnbs, you have to do your own laundry as far as like bedding and stuff. And then you also have to be responsible for your own like, soap and toilet paper. And in the hotels, you don't have to worry about that. And then also go ahead.
So what does that mean for people that don't know what a service hotel is?
So they basically give you all of the amenities of a hotel, but it looks like a studio apartment.
Oh, okay.
So you're not stuck in some like one little square room like a normal hotel would be. There's like a little kitchenette area. I had a really nice sized refrigerator, so I can like get groceries, bring home food. It's more like not apartment, like studio style. You get a little bit more space. Feel like you're living there a little bit more than like staying in an apartment, you know, for a month.
And how did you come across finding your?
It actually was an accident. I had no idea I booked a service hotel. I know what it came with, but I never even heard the term service hotel before. So like, I didn't know. But I think you just have to look for those little things that let you know. And the price is going to be a big indicator too, because regular hotels are more expensive.
Yeah.
Regular hotels have like spas. They have like a full gym. Like they have like hotel amenities. And this really is like a small apartment complex with a little tiny gym that has housekeeping.
Wow. Beautiful. So first impressions on getting there, did you feel welcomed? Like you moved into the neighborhood. That's like, and I always tell people, if you're going to move out the country, again, to each their own. Everybody has different
Right.
aspects of what they're comfortable with. Some people look for expats. Some people look for people that speak English because they want the comfortability of it, which I completely understand. I lived in Cabo for over almost 2 years, Cabo, Mexico, and um, it was a good way to go initially, but it was just too many. I might as well have been in America somewhere. And so what was your
Mhm.
first impressions and kind of what was your welcoming like?
I think I just got like, it wasn't stares. I didn't get
Mm,
stared at. I just got looked at, if that makes any
yes.
sense on what that difference feels like. I feel like stares are normally like, where'd she come from? Why's she here? But the looks were very much like, what's this black girl?
Yeah.
Like, cause this is a neighborhood, right? This is this little tiny market of people who are there every day at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
until 11 p.m., right? And the people who've lived across the street for 10 years and the people who've owned this
Generations of
house for
people.
20 years. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they probably know everybody within like a 10 block radius. So it's just like, where'd she come from? Who's she? You seen her? It was kind of like those type of looks. So I didn't feel, like I said, I think the uncomfortability made it
Mm,
intriguing for me because I
mm,
think it reminded me, oh, you think you well traveled? When is the last time you went somewhere that didn't speak English or Spanish?
exactly.
Or some form of like Caribbean patois, something or the other, right? Like, and I was like, oh, ooh, it's been a long time. And then I loved it though, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who, when you don't assimilate to Americanism or
Yeah.
Englishisms, that I get uncomfortable.
Mm,
That's weird to me. I never understood why people do that. And maybe that is a them people
yeah.
thing, but I don't do that.
Yeah.
I want you to speak Thai, right? I want to
Yes.
speak Thai too, though. And I want Google Translate to work. That was very, very frustrating. I think that was the only thing. I think I cried about it,
Wow.
probably on
Wow.
like day 3,
That
because I
was.
couldn't speak to anybody. Like I
Yes.
couldn't get food, I couldn't get drinks. Like I'm just like pointing, and I don't like feeling ignorant, right? I
Yes.
feel like I'm doing myself a disservice, and I'm also doing this interaction a disservice for however they look at brown skinned people, because they don't know I'm a Black American. They
Yes.
don't know where I'm from. They probably think I'm African. But I don't want to do anybody my complexion a disservice the next time they come in contact with this person because I came off ignorant.
Exactly, exactly. And so that actually is funny you said that too, because that kind of leads me to my next question. So you was there for some time without speaking any type of English. And so I know you talked about Google Translate, and I'm so happy you brought that up because it's easier. So even though I speak conversational Spanish, as I call it, at the same time, I have relied on Google Translate to help me out a lot, especially when I'm traveling to a lot of the South American countries. So kind of like, what was some of your first challenges? So I understand the languages. So what was kind of your first challenges or like some interactions that you remember your first month?
I don't think I felt racism as much
Mm,
as I felt you're not Thai, so I really don't care. Right? I don't think
mm,
it was because I was American or because I was Black or because I was brown or because they thought I was African. I think it was just simply because I wasn't Thai. Because I
mm.
really feel like they want you to speak Thai. Even if you're not Thai, any person who is a foreigner who comes up to them and starts speaking Thai, their entire energy immediately changes.
Mm,
Immediately. You get a completely different energy out of them. It's almost like they didn't respect you before and now immediately they do.
yeah,
Right? So now what customer service, that was something that I was completely like thrown off of, because in the United States, customer service is very important. And
mm,
even in most Spanish speaking countries, because I feel like they want the tip, right? They want to
yeah,
be nice to you so that they can get a good tip or get you to
yeah,
order more, get you to drink more, whatever the case is. Thailand, they don't give a damn. You could get up from that table and leave. They don't give a damn.
yeah,
They're not gonna run after you. They're not gonna apologize. They're not gonna wonder why you got up and left. They
yeah,
don't give a damn. Customer
yeah.
service is like, I don't want to say non-existent,
It's just
but I
different.
think it's more. Yeah, I think they're polite. I don't think they
Yeah.
have customer service, if that makes sense.
Yes. Wow, that's interesting. So let's go into this. If you could do it back over again, would you go into more of an expat area, or would you do it exactly how you did it?
I think I would skip the Airbnb,
Mhm.
even though I did love that area. I think I would just go right into the service hotel. And I also think I would book it for the whole month, which I didn't do. And the
Mm.
reason I say that is because I actually tell people don't book it for the month, but that's because I didn't know what I know, if that makes sense. Right?
You
Because I do know
learn.
what I know.
You learn as you
Book
go.
it for the month. Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like what ended up happening, the price went up. So I don't know if you heard me say
Mm.
this at the beginning, but it was like from $18 to $24, right? So at the beginning, it was $18 a night. By the time I left, it was closer to 24, 28. So if I had booked it up front at 18, I would have saved, some money over the course of that because I decided to stay in the same place. So I don't know. I guess maybe after a week, maybe then book
Mm.
long term instead of booking every 2 or 3 days. But don't do that. And I know a lot of people advise people to do that. Don't do that. They say that you could book the day before or the day of. And I do think at one point that was feasible in Thailand, but it's not really like that anymore because they just up the price. And there's no need for you to pay
Mm.
$5 to $10 per night more for something, which could be
Mm.
50%. I think that's the thing that people fail to realize too. It's like, oh, it's just $5, it's just $10. Well, the room was only 20. So if
Yes.
it's $10 more, that's a
That's a
50% increase. Like,
that's
what are
an
you doing to
increase.
your margins? Right? We have to really remember everybody's like, Thailand is so cheap. Well, go ahead. Everybody will sell you. There's plenty of people who come here and go broke. So it can't be
Yes.
that cheap.
Yes, yeah. So would you still do the local community integration, or would you go to more of an expat area?
Well, so my service hotel was in more of a community. But
Okay.
there really is no expat area. Now, like I don't really know where to go to find black people or white people, honestly. I mean, sort of outside of like certain English bars. And I don't mean like American English. I mean
Yeah.
like European English. They have
Yeah.
like Irish bars and like UK bars. Those places are full of like, white people from all over
Oh,
Europe and stuff. But like, I don't really think we have like expat areas because even though I'm in this building and there are several other black people in this building, I don't hardly ever see them. Right? Like I've
Mm.
seen them, that's why I know they're here, but I don't hardly see them walking through the building. And I think a lot of people's buildings are like that. And I think it's just because there's so many of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen. Subscribers and guests, we are with the amazing Freedom Coach Darreca. She is talking about her life in wonderful Thailand, her integration process, and her first impressions. So we will be back in a few minutes. We are growing up Black Without Borders, and we are interviewing the amazing Darreca coming to you from Thailand. If you would like to get in touch with Darreca, we will add her contact information at the end.
all right, guest. Thank you. Welcome back to Growing Up Black Without Borders. We are having a wonderful, wonderful conversation with the Freedom Coach Darreca, who is telling us about her migration from California to the wonderful country of Thailand with that beautiful, beautiful background with the sky rises. It's funny, that background that's amazing. I have never been to so many cities with that many high rises.
Yeah.
It seemed like you're in New York or some American city if people didn't realize it.
Yeah, my apartment is one of the few apartments that like 360, we don't have anything within like direct view. So like every other apartment has an apartment like beside it or close by,
Poseidon,
and we don't. Yeah, so we have like 360 all the way around with
360-degree view. Cool. Well, listen, let's talk about identity, community, obviously being a Black expat as the kind of like the term goes, or just being an African-American traveling abroad, but also in your country of Thailand. So I'm always interested in like, because being obviously African American, we have various cultural differences about ourselves, food, things of that nature. So kind of how have you kind of brought that to Thailand, or is it more kind of integrating in the community? Because like we talked about, we've been Black all our life, so that's not going to change. So regardless of where we're at, we're always going to be Black. So how has it been kind of keeping your identity? Have you been able to find other people in the community and kind of like community and culture wise?
So that was actually really important to me.
Mm,
That was kind of the first thing I put on my to-do list once I got in my service department, was to start going to some of these expat events, because at that point now I am teeter-tottering with the idea of moving. And if that's going to happen, then me finding community is number one, right? Because I already know that I'm going to make money off my computer. That doesn't
yes.
take a rocket scientist to figure that out. As long as I have the computer and my phone, that's good.
Mm,
But me having friends and feeling like I have support and community, that is going to vary, right? So let's find it. So that was like super, super, super high priority on my list. And that was actually one of the main reasons why I moved, is
mm,
because Bangkok does, like Bangkok specifically. Thailand in general, yes. But if I had to guess, I would say 50% out of the entire Black community lives in Bangkok. And
lives in
then I think the
Bangkok.
other 50% is split between like Pattaya, Phuket, Hua Hin, and Chiang Mai. So I didn't want to have to look for Black people, right? I wanted to be able to just find them on any given day, all the time, just because. And I
Exactly.
felt like, to your point, that was really important for me my first year, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that you can feel isolated.
Exactly.
And in an effort to not allow that to happen, I wanted to be somewhere where on any given day, if I wanted to go somewhere on a Monday, I'm sure I could go in one of those group chats and be like, hey, I want to do something. Do you want to do something? And somebody will say something, like
Exactly.
on any given day. Yesterday they had ladies' night, just because like I want to be able to do, especially during the week, because sometimes on the weekends, that's when I am like logged in and I'm working, right? So maybe a Tuesday might be better or a Thursday might be better for me. And I feel like just because there were Black people in certain areas doesn't mean it was enough. If there's only
Mm.
15 of y'all, what are the odds of the 15 of y'all
Running into
liking
each
each
other
other and
or
or
liking
wanting to
each
hang
other.
out? Yeah.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So okay. So because a lot of people don't talk about that, and I do speak to this about other expats all over the world, is the isolation. Especially with the rich culture as we have, and moving into other areas that also has a very, very rich culture and history. That the isolation that a lot of families, kids, single individuals can experience just because it's brand new. Everybody again talks about
Mhm.
the ribbons and the rainbows and the blooms and all that good stuff. But when it's just you, or even with your family, isolation is a big deal mentally, financially, and things of that nature. So, can you kind of talk about that and kind of how I know you talked about the groups and things of that nature helping you out, but can you kind of talk about that aspect of it?
So I personally did not suffer from like isolation issues, but it was because I was intentional about putting myself somewhere where
Mm,
I wasn't going to allow that to happen, right? I'm a Cancer. I love water. I love being by water. I love being in the water. I love smelling the water. I love putting my foot in the water. I love the water,
yes,
right? For
ma'am.
anybody who knows Bangkok, who's ever been here, knows there ain't no water here. The beach is not in Bangkok. The beach is
Mm,
in Hua Hin, the beach is in Phuket, the beach is in Pattaya. So I had to make a decision, right? Did I want water, or did I want to be close to people where if I needed them at any point in time, they could be accessed? And to me, my first year being around people, having people accessible, having events accessible was more important than me being around water. I think sometimes people don't take the time to think
mm.
about their future selves. What is your future self going to say in that moment where it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you wish you had a friend, or you're sick, you don't have anybody to call, you're in the middle of nowhere, but you got the beach? Like, like I think you really have to think about the things that are really important to
Important
you.
to you.
Really, like I said, think about your future self and really think about the times where when I don't have this, what is going to be the solution to that? Because I
Exactly.
could go right now, I
Exactly.
could get off the phone with you. I could go hop on a bus and I can go to the beach if I want to go to the beach. Problem solved.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. So it was similar for me as well. So it was important for me to choose my top 5, and so that's kinda how I highlighted where I wanted to go, like, what was important. I'm the same way. I am a certified scuba diver. So I snorkel, I
Nice.
scuba dive. Yeah, I need the water. Like, I need the water in my life. And so but for me, I needed to understand, I don't think a lot of people do their to-do list on what are you willing to sacrifice versus what do you need, you know?
Yep.
Me, internet, I know you work remotely, internet access and
Yep.
high-speed Wi-Fi was extremely important. Medical was extremely important. Obviously, I have a child, so medical was extremely important, and being just immersed in the culture was extremely important to me. Because 'cause I'm not gonna move to anybody's country without understanding the history, the significance, and the cultural well-being of that country. Kind of is that kinda similar for you?
So I did not know much about Asia in general, let alone Thailand specifically,
Mm,
because I never intended to move here. And I think that's what I spent that like 40 days kind of doing is like really just learning about the culture, like figuring out if this is even feasible, if this is something I even want to do, learning just a bunch of different random things. I love documentaries. So I watched some documentaries. I did some research. I'm also a big researcher. So I think once I learned a bunch of stuff about Thai people and the Thai culture, and just like from asking other people who have been here, I think I was like, okay, I could do this. Because what I overall learned was it reminded me a lot of California.
mm,
So California, I feel like, is the bald headed stepchild that is like hippie, peace, love, happiness, in the
yeah,
United States. And I feel like that's what Thailand is to Asia. They just want everybody to fucking be happy. They want
yeah,
everybody to live their life. They want everybody to respect the rules, respect the king. We don't got no problems.
yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, like I love this. I should be here. Like, my goodness. Like it resonated so much. So yeah, I spent that like from the time I left the Airbnb until the time I got on that flight. That I really just really honed in on that. Just really figuring it. Cause it wasn't for me, it wasn't, oh my gosh, Thailand is so cheap. I can live here and it'd be affordable. I was about to move into I think it was like $1,800 apartment the following month.
Mhm,
I could afford it. And there was
mhm.
no issue with me being able to stay in California. I just came here and really fucking loved it. And why not?
You are the prime example of growing up Black without borders. It's because the education that people are going to get from you is going to be outstanding,
Mhm.
especially coming from single, Black, African American woman, educated, obviously, just going with exactly what God's path has for you and understanding that. So that's absolutely, absolutely wonderful, and I extremely commend you. I would like to
Yeah.
get into something more personally with your housing, and so I know you got
Okay.
this beautiful place that you're currently living in, and we don't need to get into details on numbers and things of that nature. But so I know for me living in Mexico or just in general, for me it was never about the money or the cost, right? Finding places where the cost of living is a lot less. Yes, that's a benefit. But for me, it was more or less the peace of mind because I felt like the more peace of mind that I had, I would be able to focus more like on my business, my personal life, things of that nature. And then all of that other stuff would grow. So is your obviously I would guess your cost of living is a lot less. Like how have you been able to adjust with your business, also with your personal life? Is the cost of living that less where you can focus on other things? Or can you talk kind of like more about the finance aspect of everything?
You said something that was very, very important that maybe only business owners will grasp. That peace of mind is like the top tier level of freedom, right? And that is what I aspire for all of my clients to have. When you're in any of my coaching programs, that peace of mind is like that ultimate level of freedom, right? Because like I told people, to answer your question, I got here and I didn't do nothing. Why? Because I can. Why? Because I can afford to. Why? Because I want peace of mind. I want
Yes.
to, in the fact that I can walk down the street and not be catcalled. I
Yeah.
want to bask in the fact that I can walk down the street and not be pulled over by the police, or harassed or any of those things. I want to bask in the fact that I don't have to drive everywhere. I can just get in the back and be a passenger princess, like I just wanted to bask in a couple of things for a little while. Right? Just like that peace of mind, I wanted to appreciate where I was. And I think sometimes you got to
Exactly.
stop a little bit, at least as a business owner who has 5 businesses, who probably is up every hour. Anytime somebody asks me, I'm working, right? So if there's any point where Darreca is not working, it's a miracle. And I feel like I deserved that. So I
Yes.
sat for a little bit. I
Yes.
really just worked on my spiritual growth. I worked
Yes.
on myself as a person, and I
Yeah.
worked on this new version of me. Cause I think everybody tries to bring like the yesterday version of them like here. But
Yeah.
if you move, then there has to be a transition in who you are. You
It
didn't
has
just
to be a
change
start over.
location. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really just took time to figure out who she was, who she is now, which is not any version of old her. Right? There might be
Exactly.
similarities, there might be things that are comparable, but I am no longer her.
Exactly. I am the same way. I believe life is a factor of other lives within your life. Like, we all, and you have to be able to recognize when one life starts and one life ends and be able to go with it. And moving internationally is a true example of just starting over and understanding where you're at in this new life of yours and what you need to work on. I did this. That was what was so important to me because it wasn't, I always thank God I was able to afford living in the United States, so having the opportunity to live outside the country, what was important to me and what was important to me was kind of living in this new version of myself, understanding, being able to slow down outside that hamster wheel that we
Mhm.
keep talking about and just be able to
Yes.
reflect, just be thankful.
And I think that was the part that we don't get to do enough either. Right?
Exactly.
We get the paycheck every 2 weeks or we pay all of the bills, but sometimes we don't get to just like stop and be like,
Huh.
so grateful I get to be here. Like the amount of times I look out my window and I just say, "Oh, I'm so thankful for this view."
I was
Like those stop moments are the moments, that I want
that's worth
everybody to
money.
have.
That's those
And that's
stats
what I
moments are
tell
worth more money.
people. I tell people all the time and they're like, "So you just stop working?"
Yeah.
And I have residual income coming in. There is passive income coming in. So it wasn't like there was no money coming in. But that peace of mind is worth me seeing my bank account go down. I don't care. I don't need that
Exactly.
money because this,
Exactly.
this is not going to change tomorrow if I wake up and the thing got 5,000 less dollars in it. Whoop-de-doo. Still live here. This is still my view. This is still my life. Like, and that is a very surreal thing. And I encourage everybody to like allow it to continue to be surreal because I feel like it's also a very motivating thing. So to answer your question, I know I kind of got
No, it's
sidetracked.
okay. I love it.
But I don't mind being candid about this. My rent is $550. I stay in brand new apartment. As you can see, it's super high up. The higher up you go normally, the more it is. Also, this building is not even technically done yet. This is like part of the new MRT line that they have that's supposed to be for 2027. So by the time 2027 comes, it's probably going to be like the hottest building in the city. But yeah, so you don't have to be this much. I have a friend who spends $250 and she lives about 20 minutes away, 30 minutes
Wow.
away in that neighborhood that I was telling you about that
Yeah.
is very community. She spends about $250 on her 1 bedroom. So and people say that all the time. Well, y'all be lying about y'all rent because I get there and they talking about it's $500, $600, $700. First of all, $500, $600, $700 is still great. And
Yes.
second of all, if you just went 20 minutes out of the city, you would get your $250 apartment. There's nothing wrong with their apartment. It's still nice. It still looks new. It's just not in the city. That's
Yes.
really the only difference. So my electricity bill varies. That also depends on what floor you are and how much you run it, but I would say that's normally about like $60 a month. The Wi-Fi is about $15 a month. I have the smallest package. It's about $15 a month. Water, I have not got my water bill, but that's about like $5, I think, for like the quarter. So that's not that much. And then cell phone is about like $15, $20 for the month.
Wonderful. Listen, you right. Yeah, look at that. I paid my utility bill today. I am in a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house. I paid my utility bill today, and it was $55,
Goodness,
equivalent to 55 US dollars. I'm like, listen, I do this all day.
man. Do you have a
So
breeze at your house?
I have what?
A breeze?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's wonderful, wonderful. So you have a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom?
One bedroom.
One bedroom. Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, with that view right there, I would have thought you would pay a lot more. So that's outstanding. I can stare at that all day.
I do. I swear I do. I do.
Well, listen, before we wrap up, I got 2 last questions for you.
Yeah.
One, what would be some advice that you would give people thinking about, obviously, like we talked about, Thailand is a hot spot for people thinking about moving there.
Two things. Get off TikTok because for some reason people feel like that they have to be influenced by other people's videos versus just being educated by other people's videos. So get off TikTok. That'd be the first thing. And then the second thing I would do is tell people to just like do their research, like read news articles from like the news, read
Mhm.
local Thai news. There's even local Thai news that's in English, right? I think the guy might be American, but it doesn't have to be something that's in a foreign language that gets translated to you. There are plenty of platforms that will tell you accurately what's going on here because people got here and they said, well, we didn't know there was a war with Cambodia and we didn't know Thailand had earthquakes. Well, just for the record, these are two random occurrences,
Yes.
right? And did you do any research to see Thailand's history? Like, so then why are you mad that you didn't know? Like, you can't watch a bunch of TikTok videos and then make your life decisions off of those.
Because that did scare a lot of people now, because you're right. People watch TikTok and they get their information off of that.
And you know what is so funny you said that? So my building is only like 20%, 15% occupied anyway. Half of those people moved out after the earthquake because they were scared. But what are the chances of, first of all, Thailand hasn't had an earthquake in years. What are the chances of another one happening during your year lease? And you just uprooting your entire life because you see a bunch of scary videos like I don't subscribe. Do not subscribe to other people's thoughts. Have your own opinion. Do your own research.
Amen, amen, amen. That's some good advice. And I hope y'all better take it too. So listen, I know you, listen, Freedom Coach, I definitely appreciate you. I know you are an entrepreneur, business owner. Can you tell everybody about your business? How can they get a hold of you and all of that good stuff?
Yes, so I can be found at Melanated Travel Bay on everything, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads. My link to my business is actually in my YouTube and on my Instagram platforms, and it will also link you to my other business, which I'm a travel agency owner. So if you're interested in getting any trips planned, let me know. I have lots of events going on, so there's lots of stuff to check out.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, listen, everybody, we'll be linking everything about her business and all her links and all her social media handles on this platform as well for you to get a hold of her. This is Freedom Coach. I appreciate you. Darreca, you are an amazing person. It has been an honor to be able to talk to you on our platform. I am super highly motivated about watching you grow.
Oh,
We'll continue to talk. I wanted to see the journey and know, we're never stuck at where we're at and we're constantly moving. So I'm super excited to watch your growth and just watch you, period. I hope we have the opportunity to interview you again. Again, this is Growing Up Black Without Borders. And please, please subscribe. We do this every week to be able to bring just the truth, the pros, the cons, the education to individuals that are currently there and to individuals that are thinking about moving. So we definitely appreciate the opportunity.
If you have plans on visiting Thailand or would like to get a hold of Freedom Coach Darreca, please email her at partnership@yebonytempleluxtravel.com, or you can find her at Melanated Travel Bay on all social media platforms. Join us for the next Diaspora Dialogue as we welcome a remarkable guest who relocated from Atlanta, Georgia to Kenya. In this episode, we dive into what inspired their move across continents, the challenges and joys of adapting to life in Kenya, how they built community, connection, and a new sense of home. Discover a story of courage, resilience, and the adventure of living beyond borders. This is a celebration of culture, family, and the global Black experience. Don't miss it. Subscribe, tune in, and be inspired.